Time for Media Watch, which means, of course, James Creedon here, all warmed up and ready to go. James, we're going to talk about Egypt, of course. So there's been big unrest today in front of the presidential palace. Mohamed Morsi leaving via the back door, apparently, just for his own safety. You can tell us who we can follow to keep up with the very latest from Tahrir Square.
That's right. A couple of people who are very active on Twitter in Cairo this evening, Egyptians themselves. Let's take a look online. You've got a guy called Tarek Shalabi, who is a blogger and a self-confessed revolutionary socialist. Here you see images that he is actually broadcasting from the centre of Cairo. So you can check that out. Tarek Shalabi. I've put it all up on my own Twitter page if people want to find those references. James Creedon F24 if you want to find those references. There he is as well, tweeting photos. I can't tell you how many there are, but I can tell you that you're missing out. So he's in the middle of the action there if you want to follow that, sending photos through. This is a guy called Big Pharaoh, at Big Pharaoh, another Egyptian blogger. That photo was posted about 30 minutes ago from the centre of Cairo, so you can still see that there are a lot of people gathered. Now, at one point around the presidential palace, where there were a lot of demonstrations and where the barbed wire was cut through and where Morsi fled from, apparently the telephone networks were cut at one point, were stopped, because that is a means which we saw from last year as well in Tahrir Square for people to communicate, to gather, and it's one of the most important elements in I suppose, feeding those demonstrations. So no telephone and 3G network around the presidential palace, he said. Whether that's still the case, I can't confirm. Follow another guy, at Sand Monkey. He's also worth looking at. And, of course, Andy Carvin, who is a Twitter sort of newsroom unto himself. They're all worth having a look at. Just finally, an article in the Financial Times explaining perhaps some of the background to this. Mohammed El Baradei, he says that, and I'll get a quote from that article, Morsi's power now exceeds that of Hosni Mubarak at his dictatorial peak.
So that, the opinion of Mohammed El Baradei, of course, former head of the United Nations Atomic Energy Agency, and of course an opposition figure within Egyptian politics.
So unsurprisingly against Morsi.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Interesting times once again in Egypt. Interesting times too in French politics. Not violent, of course, but certainly the verbal punches being exchanged are fairly meaty. And of course, we're talking about the row amongst the heavyweights at the UMP. Nicolas Sarkozy's party, no less. And of course, the leadership row.
That's right. The first day of a breakaway group in the French Parliament of the UMP party called the RUMP, or RUMP, as it has been rather hilariously abbreviated to RUMP. You'll spot they've put a hyphen in there because I think they now realise...
Sure, they've realised the error they've made, rump being like in English, like bum. There we go.
Now, Mr. Ayrault, as they point out here in Le Point, he is the Prime Minister. He had a bit of fun with it, and he said to Christian Jacob, who is the president of the UMP group in the Parliament, he said, the president of, is it the UMP? He's sort of, playing with the fact that the group has now been split. You can play football over this as well. This is the Rue 89, and they are giving points to all of the people on either side of that divide right down the centre of the UMP.
That is funny. That is funny. I like that. It's very funny. Very funny.
So there you go. Lots of coverage of that still in the media. And, of course, the royal bump.
Of course, from rump to
the bump.
Very good.
It's been the top news story on the Daily Mail all day. They had 14 pages in their print version.
14 pages in the Daily Mail.
Get a load of this headline, Mark, which I think is a bit silly. Finally, William's getting what he always craved, normal family life. Oh. Don't think it's ever going to be fully normal for William.
No, it's not. But obviously it goes back to him losing his mum at such a young age, doesn't it?
I mean, maybe I'm being a bit facetious.
Someone that he clearly loves, and they're having a baby, which is great.
That's right. So
is there any news, any word online about her health?
Well, they're talking about, some are speculating that it could be twins because of the morning sickness being quite excessive. So there you go. There's lots of speculation. There's also a lot of people betting, as they're pointing out in the Huffington Post and elsewhere, about the weight, the name, the career choices, etc.
Okay, we wish them very well, and obviously we hope Kate's in fine form. Good stuff. Now then, finally, a photo of
Dominique
Strauss-Kahn
having a bit of a laugh
in with the girls. Doesn't look happy, does he?
No, he doesn't. But you know what? There's an anecdote behind the story, and that was taken in a nightclub in the Swiss 8th arrondissement of Paris. And there he is, surrounded by three promoters of it's called XB, which is a club night, etc. He knew that photo was being taken. He even checked the photo on the person's camera before it was tweeted. So he knew this was being taken. I think he's got to the point where he's like, you know what? I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Photograph me with whoever you want. I've had it up to here.
I suppose psychologists would say he's come to the low point, and now he can begin to climb back up.
Exactly. So Dominique out clubbing.
For someone who's meant to be, sort of like ladies' man, as they call it, he looks really unhappy with those girls. Really unhappy.
The club manager took the opportunity to promote his club by saying that he also drank a sex on the beach. So there you go.
Okay. James Creedon with Media Watch. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Mark.